Hi, I'm Sarah and I'm a piano teacher, and I'm making this video just to show the different options that we have when we are trying to establish a firm foundation for our children to put their feet on when they're playing the piano. It's important to have something under their feet, because if their feet are swinging on the piano bench, then they're putting too much pressure on their lower spine and they're unbalanced at the piano. And we don't want to set up a habit that can create any sort of body damage long term. Now, there's numerous solutions to putting under the children's feet to make them nice and secure. Well, something that's solid and that's not going to rock when they've got their feet on it, because it really does need to support their spine. In the past, the most common solution was the yellow pages. And we'd get a yellow pages and we'd put a pillowcase around it or something to make it a little bit nicer. And we could use it to make the chair higher as well as the feet higher. Unfortunately, yellow pages are getting harder and harder to get, and I'm not willing to use my phone for that purpose, which is where the yellow pages are these days. However, sometimes we can find a book that's right. So what we want if we're using a book is a nice large book that's not going to tip over. A student might need multiple books to get the height right, and we don't want them to be easily kicked over. They then defeat their purpose of being nice and strong. But a book could also be covered with something like a pillowcase to make it an option, and that's probably the cheapest option. The next option I will talk about is the most expensive option. That's a pedalled footstool. A pedalled footstool is very useful if you have a child who's very young, 5 or 6, and is getting into the high repertoire, but they need to be able to play the pedals. So in order to have that happen, there are different options available, different brands available, but all of them work pretty much the same. They have a pedal with a bar here, and that when you press that pedal, it has the mechanism that presses the actual piano pedal. This is a solution and it does work. However, because of the leverage and the length, depending on how high this is, that's actually can be quite heavy for the student to press. So the better solution is usually to try and avoid repertoire that needs the pedal until they are at a height where they can reach. But if that's too far in the future, these pedal boards do that job. My one cost $300 about 10 years ago, so they're not a cheap solution, but they are a solution. The solution I recommend is actually basically to make a wooden box ourselves. So I'll get nice and close. The size of this is about 40 centimeters by 30 centimeters, so it's big enough that even if their foot grows before their feet are ready to touch the ground, that they're not going to run out of room on them. And then similarly, we have the box that's made, and this one was made by someone who had those tools that can do the holes, and they're about 1.5 inches apart, so that the shelf can slide in at whatever height it needs to be in order to keep their feet steady. Now, when one of mine broke, I asked one of my students to make one for me, and he didn't have the tool that you need to cut the shelves. So he did pretty much the same thing. He made a box. He used the same size, so he borrowed mine to copy it. And then instead of cutting the shelving thing, he used a piece of wood and screwed it in. So you can see still about 1.5 inches apart, but those shelves are there and the piece of wood can slip over. Students of mine in the past have used pallets or those fruit boxes and have been able to modify them to make something that worked in the same way as that. So you can be a little bit creative, but the most important thing is that it's nice and strong so that they've really supported. So good luck in finding something that will support your child's foot so they can enjoy the piano journey.